Congratulations, Vice President Joe Biden, on becoming president-elect. And congratulations, Kamala Harris, our senator from California, but now Vice President-elect of the United States. So inspired by both of your examples being the mirrors of this nation, being the character that we need, but also those representing great judgment. Now, knowing that there is a victory to celebrate on being the projected winners, we have to take heed and remain cautious in the days ahead because it was announced that President Trump will not concede the election. This calls into question what's happening, and I want to tell you what's not being discussed right now on mainstream media, that there's a possibility for President Donald Trump to still become the victor even out of defeat. So let's turn to how the Electoral College works, because there's a possibility that at the Electoral College there could be a constitutional coup to try and make President Trump the president again and ignore the outcome of the general election. So let me walk you through it. This is how it works. According to the Encyclopedia Britannica, once the results of the election are certified, on the first Monday of the following second Wednesday in December, those electors meet. Now, the governors of the states basically send these people to Congress, their delegations. They're not necessarily the members of Congress. They represent a whole diverse coalition of people. But what happens is these faithless electors essentially, they go to represent the will of the state. The question that's being created is whether or not their votes or the will of those states will be respected if the results of the election are not certified. That's where we're headed right now. The results of the Pennsylvania election are still not certified, and a few other states are still not certified. Georgia, Nevada being just two to name right now. So the process can still wind up with a constitutional crisis. And if that happens, we have to understand that the state houses select their delegates to go to the Electoral College, and the state houses are largely represented by, you can see it, Republicans. There are at least 34 states and state houses that are represented by Republicans who could just determine that they want to direct their representatives to the Electoral College to vote for the person of their choosing. If this happens, we have to hold the line. We have to develop a response plan, and we have to mobilize and organize to make sure that the next stage of this process does not reverse the outcome of the general election. It will call into question our entire democracy, and that's not something that anybody, especially me, wants to see happen. So you're going to continue to see cautious optimism from myself as we watch the steps unfold. Right now, the president said he's not going to concede the election. He already launched a number of lawsuits. And as those processes play out, we're going to see whether or not the Electoral College can properly convene and if it will represent the will of the people. Right now, the will of the people is apparent. President-elect Joe Biden, Vice President-elect Kamala Harris. But we're not done. While the general election has been completed, we have to be very cautious about the next stage of the process, which is the Electoral College. Now, this is, in my opinion, good for America. It's good because we now are not going to take for granted our vote, our voice, and we're also going to really reflect on the system of government that we have. We know that it can be biased and injustice. There is injustice. But we do know that there's a possibility for the people to continue to organize and push back in a non-violent fashion to protect democracy. So the best thing that we can do, as I've been advocating, make sure you verify that all votes are counted. Make sure that we hold the line on our constitutional principles. But let's not lose sight of how important it is for us to remain vigilant so that the results of the general elections are respected throughout the process of the Electoral College. Let's not get ahead of ourselves to just start celebrating as if this is over. It ain't over. And it's not over until after the Electoral College process has concluded with elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris as the successful victors in the Electoral College. Be vigilant, let's not take it for granted, and let's protect democracy.